When talking about attention, it is important to understand what each area of the brain that is involved with the process does. So one area of the brain that is involved is the parietal lobe. As we can see here, the parietal lobe is located in the upper rear part of the brain and plays a key role in attention shifts. This lobe processes your sense of touch and helps put together and organize information we receive from our other senses, such as our sense of smell and hearing. It is needed for our sensory perception, and it shifts our attention when we receive sensory information from our outside environment, such as if we smell cookies baking in the oven, or if someone taps on our shoulder, or in the example of technology, if our phone rings. And this actually relates to our bottom-up processing pathway that we talked about earlier. These things capture our attention without us even having to think about it. Moving on, we have the frontal lobe. And as we can see here, the frontal lobe is located directly behind the forehead, and it contains many components that are integral areas of attention processing. One of those areas is the anterior cingulate cortex. As shown, this area of the frontal lobe helps us decide which tasks or events get priority by evaluating the value of the situation. According to the Nature Journal, it is known to help regulate conflict between an object of attention and distractors during goal-oriented sustained attention. This helps us put most of our focus onto important goals or events, such as driving a car, and helps us limit focusing on our distractions. Next, in the frontal lobe, we have the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This area is involved in maintaining attention away from behaviorally irrelevant information. We can relate this to our top-down processing pathway, where it allows us to focus on what we consider is important at the time. Lastly, in the frontal lobe, we have the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is also located in the frontal lobe as shown. This area of the brain is composed of executive control neurons, and their role is to bring together information from all areas of the brain and help organize that information and help set direction, goal, and focus. In class, we discussed the executive control network, and the prefrontal cortex allows us to switch from our default mode network to our executive control network. And here, that is when the executive control neurons come into play, which help us perform high-level cognitive tasks. And all of these areas of the brain all work together and allow us the ability to focus our attention on our goals.